Homepage sliders. Many radio stations love them, but did you know they could be hurting your website? Yeah, stick around to find out how.
This is Better Radio Websites, the podcast for radio professionals who want to see their website generate more traffic and revenue. Each week, your host, Jim Sherwood, and his special guests give you time-tested tips and secret tricks to ensure your radio station dominates digital in your market. Here we go.
Hi, it's Jim, and welcome to Better Radio Websites. We're the podcast that wants to help you get more visitors and more revenue from your radio station website, and that means keeping visitors on it as long as possible. Now, the homepage slider. A lot of stations use the homepage slider to keep visitors on their site and to put in their face the biggest messages of the day. But they could be hurting your website. Some of these are called carousels or slideshows. They often appear near the top of the homepage and typically include photos and text, many times rotating automatically from one slide to the next. You've probably all seen them. But when was the last time you actually clicked on one? Not just the first slide, but maybe slide number 7 or slide number 9. Well, that's what we're talking about today. You know, they once ruled the web because people were just captivated by something moving on the page. Well, over time, though, and especially in recent years, they become really a disappointing user experience. There have been extensive studies out there by many agencies to prove this, and they all point to one conclusion. Sliders, carousels, slideshows, they are definitely on the way out. But still, they're hanging around because, well, we have a website. We must have a slider on the homepage. Everybody else does. Today, we're going to give you 5 reasons why you should end your relationship with that huge homepage slider. Number 1, sliders contribute to lost traffic. Yeah, sliders slow down download times of the entire homepage because often they use multiple large images which eat up the bandwidth. Studies have shown this now, that websites lose traffic when it takes a certain amount of time to download the content on the page. Just a few milliseconds of slowness in load times with these several large images have proven to contribute to a high bounce rate. Now, what's a bounce rate? Well, bounce rate is the percentage of visitors that leave a web page without taking any action. They didn't click on a link. They didn't fill out a form. They didn't make a purchase. They just came, they saw, they left. That's what's called a bounce. Now, some e-commerce websites, they've seen sales increase up to 45% simply by replacing a slider with a specific call to action or a static list of multiple actions. Not very many, but just a few. Now, if you want to see an increase in your email list signups on your website, replace the slider with some kick butt sign-up incentive and then link it to your email form. And just see if there is an increase in your signups. Now, number 2, and the reasons why you should end your relationship with your slider, sliders have become invisible to your visitors. Yeah, banner blindness is what they call it. It's when people subconsciously ignore content that resembles an advertisement. When users visit a website, they have a particular objective in mind, like reading a news story they heard about on the radio or registering for a contest, something like that. And anything resembling an advertisement, well, that just gets passed over, both visually and perceptually. And it happens unconsciously. Studies have proven now that most users see sliders as annoying ads also, and automatically ignore them unless something really, really pops out on the first one. And if you think about it, the layouts and designs of these sliders are very similar to how you create banner ads. There's a big, call to action message and maybe some kind of something visual that you want them to see, like maybe a show face or something like that. But the audience just sees these as big banner ads and they just scroll right on past them. Number 3, sliders have horrible click rates. If they're not seeing them, they're surely not going to click on them. That means that these big sliders are not effective in moving visitors around your website and getting a visitor to do what you want them to do. Now, I read this study at the University of Notre Dame, which showed that click-through rates barely 1% on sliders. Less than 1% of everybody that comes to the website will click on a large slider. 84% of those clicks were only on the first item in rotation. Audiences simply don't interact with them. And if they do, it's only on the first slide. Avinash Kaushik, a digital marketing evangelist for Google, wrote in a paper that, quote, sliders please the owner of the website, but they deliver little to no value to the customer. The reason is that we're not going to sit there and wait for your quote unquote movie to play out. I'm also not a fan of sliders because for most businesses, they provide an excuse not to think about personalization and being good at giving the customer the right answer right away. End quote. Ouch. But that's true for most sites if you think about it. Number 4, sliders can harm your SEO efforts. SEO, search engine optimization, is the practice of increasing website traffic and exposure to your brand, your radio station, through proper search engine results. Now, the following impacts are associated with sliders and their poor impact on your SEO. Slow website speeds. We mentioned this before because of these large multiple images that you're downloading. Slower websites to get pushed further down in search results, while faster loading websites get preference. So if you are competing with somebody in your market and they have a homepage slider and you have a homepage slider, take your homepage slider off now. If you have identical content, you will start beating them in search engines. All right. Sometimes the headings within the slides are called H1 tags. This is the HTML behind the scenes stuff. Multiple H1 tags on a page creates problems with SEO because the hierarchy of HTML is not correct anymore. And lastly, some older sliders, they could possibly be Flash based and therefore impossible for search engines to read. And some modern browsers, mainly mobile, don't even run Flash. So they're not going to see the slider anyway. Number 5, the last reason that you should end your relationship with your huge homepage slider is that sliders can overwhelm visitors and even turn certain audiences away. Yeah, your listeners are coming to your website to gather information that they are looking for, and they're hopefully going to interact with you or your station. Well, some sliders move so quickly that some people can't even read the full message and take any action on the information. It was gone, and where's the button to go back? And oh, it's not there, and so frustration, overwhelm. Also, some sliders are not accessible to all audiences. Not only do people with vision impairments miss slider navigation, but some sliders can malfunction on specific browsers these disabled people use to navigate the web. And those people are out there. They are coming to your station website. Now, this is a bigger problem than most realize. Even the Department of Justice is working to amend the Americans with Disabilities Act to ensure equal online user experiences for everyone. That means it could get into a legal issue if you don't correct some of these things. Currently, sliders are not user-friendly for audiences with disabilities. For example, most sliders, you'll see these tiny little arrows on the sides, and some have some bullet points in discrete locations, either at the bottom or up in the right corner or something like that. So audiences with vision impairments simply cannot see or use these controls. So it alienates them from interacting with the slider at all. So what are your alternatives to these big sliders? Dynamic content or content with a prominent call to action message. They've both been proven to keep website visitors engaged. For instance, a static big hero call to action to enter the current contest. Information about a concert event that's going on. Even the latest breaking news or weather information can be beneficial to a visitor at that moment if it's the biggest thing going on right now. Instead of showcasing multiple messages in a slider, narrow down to the single most important one, or display several smaller static images stacked in columns and rows. Smaller images load faster, and you'll still get the multiple messages across if you're wanting to. Just don't fill the page with every option that you can think of, like a small banner for every show that you have on your station. That can be overwhelming as well, because when somebody gets to the website, well, there's too many options. What do you do? We've even seen some stations use video. Just be sure that these are short and focused with one clear message. Video has incredible engagement rates also, and it's even preferred by a lot of website visitors versus reading pages of text. So consider adding a video to your homepage with a message to do something specific, like enter a contest or fill out your newsletter sign up. I tell you what, try that, record the engagement metrics, and you'll likely be surprised at how effective a call to action video can be. So to wrap up, are sliders dead? For the most part, absolutely. Do we still offer them on our station websites? You bet we do. And our slider is better than most of the ones out there because we don't just do image slides. One slide could show the weather, one slide could show the latest news post, one slide can show the latest contest, and those things just rotate in and out as the information changes. The actual admin doesn't have to do anything to change out that information. And when you randomize the slides, something new pops up every time. So you're like, okay, that's probably the answer, right? No, we've also seen the degrading page load speeds that even the coolest web sliders can bring. Our Launch FM, our main demo at launchfm.com, has a mid-level A rating in the GT Metrics page loading scoring, which is an awesome rating, all right? But that's without any large slider on the homepage. That score drops to a low B simply by adding a slider to it, even though that slider contains perfectly optimized images. Very low impact, but the coding that goes on in the background of loading the latest post and the weather forecast and the latest contest, that all has an effect on things. And most stations are not even optimizing the images that are in their sliders, okay? So their page loading scores are drastically low. I mean, failing, in fact, Fs and below. If there's a scale of 1 to 100 and our website gets a 92, theirs is getting like a 12. That's what I'm talking about. We continue to see sliders filled with these large images of every day part show. Studies have clearly shown that sliders are doing the opposite of what you intend them for. You think they're promoting your shows, they're actually not. Folks are not seeing them. They're just distracting your visitors away from the valuable content that they come to your website specifically for. Want to promote your shows? Rotate single welcome videos from your personalities each day with calls to action to sign up for the latest contest or join your email list. Just don't let the video sit there for months. Always keep your homepage fresh. So if you put a video on there tomorrow, switch it out in a couple days. Or work with your website host to switch out the videos every time somebody comes to the website. Maybe it's different every time. There are so many reasons to get rid of sliders that we really can't think of hardly any reason to keep them. I mean, yeah, there's probably a fringe reason out there, like you want to rotate some logos at the bottom of a page or something like that, but that's not really content that the people are coming there to actually see. That's just giving some animation to multiple clients or something like that. But you still need to make sure that everything loads as fast as possible. Very small images, very clean code. Do a page speed test with and without, and then judge for yourself. Okay, is this worth it? Now, do you disagree with this or no? Do you still want to hang on to your homepage slider, even though it could be turning some audiences away, harming your SEO? You know that nobody's clicking on it. You're losing traffic because of it, and just nobody even sees it. Do you think that you should keep it? Please reach out to us and let us know. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Jump on and go to our contact page at skyrocketradio.com and post your questions for future shows, because really this podcast is for you and making your radio station website better. Have an awesome week of doing just that, making your radio station website better. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Better Radio Websites. Inspired by today's episode? Be sure you are subscribed and share this episode with a friend. Visit skyrocketradio.com/podcasts for more episodes as well as show notes for this episode. Need help starting or making your station website better? Visit skyrocketradio.com.